Welcome to Free Stuff Friday, where I review and install things that were given to me for free simply because I'm a YouTuber. So of course they sent me this because they want you to buy it. Someone wants you to buy a product, so that's why a lot of people make videos. And I want to make videos too, and I want to help people decide whether or not things are right for them. And I'm going to do that my own way. So in this video, I'm going to cover a lot of stuff I would normally cover, including a full install, in this case, of this dash cam. So this video will focus on this Fitcamx, and this is specifically made for my Honda Accord. I have a 2018 Honda Accord. It's the 10th generation Honda Accord, so it's like 2018, 2022. And what's nice about this, it is like a direct fit. It's pretty stealthy looking when you install it. It doesn't really stand out like a normal dash cam would. So what's this video all going to cover? Well, of course, I'm going to introduce you to this product a little bit, give you some details on it, of course, up front, and let you know they gave it to me for free. I'm also going to do an install video on it, very detailed, like I always do with my install videos, give you all the details that I can. And then I'm going to cover some test footage. I'm going to show you exactly what the footage looks like coming off of this dash cam. I'm going to even compare it to the other dash cam I have in my car currently. And then of course I'll also do a little bit of a good and bad about this product. So some real quick hits about this product. Am I glad they sent this dash cam to me for free? Yes, of course, it's useful no matter what. So that's great. Would I buy this myself? Probably, potentially. It is kind of double the cost of a different dash cam, of a regular kind of dash cam that you could get. So you got to keep that in mind. But it certainly has its advantages that we're going to cover in a little bit. And how easy is it to install? If I had to give it a scale on 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, 1 being the easiest, I'd say this is about a level 3 for install. It's pretty simple, but there's still some things that can be a little bit tricky. And finally, of course, should you buy it? Well, that's really what this video is for, so let's jump into it. So to install this dash cam, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver. That's the one tool that wasn't included, but most people should have that. So we're going to open up our passenger side door and jump inside the car. And we're going to look up towards the centerpiece here that holds our sunglasses and has our lights up here. So what you should be able to do is open up your sunglass holder, and then with this shot here you can see there's 2 screws that are inside that sunglass holder. So we're going to remove both of those Phillips head screws, and after both of those screws have been removed, we can move on to these kind of plastic covers that cover up these lights. And we're going to use this tool that they included with this. So you can see how I'm prying this plastic piece in here to kind of pop these covers off. And those covers should just pop off. Of course, your light might turn on in the process, turn on and off, but you can see how those kind of just push up into place. So we're just going to do this on both sides. Squeeze or sneak that blue piece in there to pry those out. And the reason we're taking these covers off is because there are 2 more screws holding this piece in place. So we're going to give you a better shot here and show you where both those 2 screws are. Again, utilizing our Phillips screwdriver, we're going to remove both of these screws as well, because there are these 4 total screws holding this piece up in place. And we're removing and dropping down this piece because we need to access one of the wires. What I do like about this dash cam is it does come with the kind of what I'd call a jumper wire. So we just get to plug it in, and that's going to be a power source for our dash cam. So now what you want to do to get this down is you're going to have to pry down the front part a little bit, and then you're going to have to move it more towards the windshield of the car. And you're going to see in just a second how that works. So we're going to, again, pry this free. And as I slide it away from the camera here and it drops down, you can see this lip part where it kind of falls into place. So that's why you don't really want to pry towards the back part where the sunglass holder is. Initially, you want to pry free more towards the front of the car and pry that piece down and then slide it forward. Note that there are these 2 little washers in here. Just take those out right away and move them to a safe spot so you can find them later when you go back to reinstall this. That's my best recommendation so you don't lose them. And you can see there's 3 plugins here, a blue one, a green one, and a white one. And this white one is the one we're going to tap into for our power source. And just so you're aware what I did here, I lowered this down to get a better shot, give you guys a better view of everything I was doing. You probably won't have to do this. You should just be able to pull that white wire out and get it, without removing this piece. But this gave me a little bit better shot filming this and a little bit easier access. So that's what I did here. And here you can see that white clip, again, a little better shot of that. And what you need to do is squeeze. You need to squeeze this white piece, or the little tab, I should say, and then pull it out like so. And now we're going to get that cable that was included with this dash cam, and you can see here how it matches up. It's the same plug-in here. And what you're actually going to do is take the plug-in from the cable they provided you and plug it in to this plug-in here from the wire you had just removed. And again, this is just kind of what I call a jumper cable. I guess it's going to be a cable that goes in between, where the old one used to plug in. But you should push that in. You'll hear it snap in place. And of course, then what you need to do is take that cable from your original wiring harness here and then plug it in to the other end of this cable that was included with the dash cam. And then this is the power wire. That little tubular one is the power wire that's going to power the dash cam, but we're going to come back to that in a little bit. So now you can see kind of how that's dropped down. Again, yours might not have been dropped down as far, but we have our power wire pretty much ready to go and in place. And now we need to swap out and install the actual dash cam. And this cover here is what we need to remove. And honestly, this is one of the hardest parts of this job, at least it was for me. Just kind of getting this old cover off is kind of a pain in the butt. But this cover here covers up part of what has your car with lane keep assist and cruise control and stuff. But we just need to remove this black plastic cover. And as you can see, we're going to replace it with the piece with the built-in dash cam in that cover. What they provided you and like prying down to the bottom like this, I wouldn't actually do that. Don't start with that. You want to pry towards the top like I'm showing here first. And then it's going to have to slide down towards the bottom of the windshield. That's going to be the best way to actually get this free. But this step here is what requires actually a lot of force to actually get that to pry free. And I'm honestly not even sure how that's even supposed to come off. But it came off okay, and it could have went back on. Someone had replaced my windshield recently anyway, so mine wasn't even hanging on like perfectly. So I can't give you the best advice for getting this off, but I can just tell you it definitely requires a bit of force to pry it free. But of course, use that plastic piece though, because you don't want to screw up your windshield or anything. So just use the plastic pry thing they gave you, and you should be able to use enough force to get that to pop down. Again, might be tough. If you found a better way, or if you have any tips for that, maybe leave something in the comments section about how to get that off that worked for you. So realistically, you should probably be prying the right side or the left side, and then switch to the other side. I had to move my mirror out of the way a little bit to get to the driver's side of this to then pry it free. And again, ideally, yours will still be hanging on by the more bottom-most part of this, and then you would slide it down a little bit towards the windshield after you get it free towards the top part of the windshield here, like I just did. So I hate that I can't show you the specific example, but this is, again, mine was a little bit messed up to begin with. The other advice I can give you is just take a look at the piece you're installing first, because that can give you an idea too of what this is looking like. You can tell that there's some little protruding parts on the piece you're installing, so you know that's got to kind of slide down in this case when you're removing it. And when we're going to install the new one, you got to slide it kind of up towards the top roof of the car. And again, hopefully just a better shot of showing you what we're trying to pry free here. This is more towards the top part, and then it's hard to show at the bottom, but I got a little bit here. You can see how the lighting changes behind my finger. That's where those protruding parts slide in to slide it in place. So just be mindful of those slots. Of course, you're going to pay attention to that when you install the new one as well, because you want to slide those in first before you snap it up in place on the higher parts. But just want to give you a good look at what this looks like, and also you can see the hole kind of where the wire runs through the headliner. So we're going to run our wire for our piece through that same way. There should be enough room there to just slide that through, because again, that's where we're going to run that power wire through to that cable we already have set up and in place. Be mindful of the other wire kind of when you're pushing this through. You should be able to utilize both hands. It was a little tricky for me to film it initially and show this, but you should be able to get in there and maybe push that other wire out of the way a little bit and then slide this one through. And then once you get it through, just pull it up a little bit more. And then it should just be able to hang there until we kind of fully clip in our new dash cam. But before we mount that dash cam in place, I'm just going to show you this plug-in. You can see it kind of only goes one way. There's this protruding part sticking out on this blue cable here, and then there is this other protruding part that lines it up on the other end. So you should just be able to line those up and give it a push. It's a little bit hard to push in, but you should be able to push it in and you should hear it snap in place. So there you go. Now your dash cam should have power, and that's all you need to do. So that's what's nice about this install compared to some regular dash cams where you have to run the wire all the way to a fuse box or all the way down somewhere. Not much wire to run for this install, so that is nice. So here we go. Now we're actually installing this dash cam itself. So we're going to pull that wire through the rest of the way, tighten it up a little bit. And again, the best advice I can give you here is to keep this down and then slide it up, because you need those protruding parts that we talked about earlier to line up and slide in place. So you're going to start towards the bottom, have it kind of pressed up against the glass towards a little lower than it should be, and then slide it up in place. And then you should just be able to push in on the sides where it was harder to pry free initially, and then it should pop and pop up back in place, and it should just hold up on there. You're just kind of snapping on that cover. So luckily it does go on a little easier, than it came off. And there you go. Again, used a bit of force, but it should push on there and sit pretty flush and look pretty good. That's, again, the nice thing about this is it's a pretty clean install. It looks like an OEM piece. It doesn't stand out like the other dash cam that's on the windshield there. Next, remember those two washers I told you to set aside. We're going to set those washers back in place. Try to line them up as best you can. You might even want to use a little bit of tape. If you have just some regular tape, masking tape, you could put a little tape over it to hold them in place, and then you could just put the screw right through the tape once you put it up in place. Also, watch for that wire we added. It's a little bit of bulkiness up in there, so that wire we added, just tuck that in a little bit. And then, again, you're going to have to start with this more towards the front of the car. Watch for those back pieces to slide up in place, and then slide it towards the back part of the car and hold it up. And of course, then we're just going to reinstall the screws that we removed. So there's the 4 total screws, and you should be able to install the 2 screws first that were where we removed those lighting covers. So we're going to go ahead and install both of those. And just a tip here, it might work best if you don't tighten them up all the way, and just make sure they're started. Get them both started a little bit, and then we'll move on to the other 2 screws that are underneath where that sunglass holder is. And again, if you didn't use the tape trick that I mentioned and these moved a little bit, luckily for me, I can still see this washer on the left side here. You can see how it's just there. So I use the screwdriver a little bit. I just kind of try to lift it up and pull it over to where I want it to be lined up. So that little trick worked for me. So I did a little bit of that to move it over. And then once it's lined up, of course, you just are going to go ahead and reinstall those 2 screws. And once you have those both started, then you should be able to tighten up all 4 of them. I did have to kind of actually pull. I remember I pulled this forward. I should say I pulled it towards the back of the car is what I should say, to line this last screw up. I had to pull back on it a little bit. I put my fingers up in that sunglass holder a little bit and just pulled it back just a little bit. That's where my finger is right now, just pulling it back. And then that helped line that last one up. So we're just making sure our sunglass holder still works. And then, of course, we're tightening up all 4 of our screws. And then we are going to reinstall these covers. And this is pretty simple. Again, they just kind of push on. So make sure you got each one lined up for the right side, with that being mindful of that curve towards the front part of the covers. But those should realistically just pop in place and then push up. Make sure the lights still work. We're all set. Next, the satisfying part, you get to peel this off. You could have took this piece off earlier, but don't forget to take it off, of course. But you should be able to take off that protective cover on the lens. And again, just giving you a shot, you can see how this does look like an OEM piece, and you can barely tell that it is installed, so that's cool. All right, so now it says in the manual, which you should have as well, to start up the engine. You should see the lights come on, and you can see the lights are on here. And you can see there's a power button and a photo button. So these are the buttons on this item. And there's an SD card slot on the left side here. But now we're going to move into the app, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the setup. I just did a screen record of the setup. It worked pretty well. I just went to my settings for my Wi-Fi. You look for the LHD Wi-Fi. There's other ones. Again, consult your manual that came with this, but you just need to connect to the specific Wi-Fi. that this camera puts out, I guess. And then you enter in a password that is also in the manual that comes with this to install it. So after you enter in that password, it should connect. There won't be an internet connection because it's not obviously providing you internet service. Next, we're going to go open up the Fitcamx app, and then we're going to, of course, download that app first. Hit that add camera button. You need to maybe allow some settings on your camera. And again, just making sure that it's connected. And once we add the camera, this one just found it and it worked. So hopefully yours works the same. What I did like about this app too is, of course, now I got a live view here in the app, which is neat, but I can also adjust the camera settings in this app. So that's what I did right away. I played with the camera settings. I turned the sound on. It was default. By default, it wasn't recording sound. So I turned the sound on. You can change the resolution of the recording. Of course, the higher the resolution of the recording, the less amount that you're going to be able to store on here. But it is a loop recording, so ideally it should just keep consistently recording, and it should have the video you need when you need it, assuming the video need happened fairly recently. I turned on parking monitoring. I'm not sure. It seems like something that would detect a collision when the car's off, so I just turned that on. And there is a loop recording option setting. I like to keep mine a bit lower in the time frame, simply because sometimes if a file gets corrupt, you didn't lose as long or as much time. So like if you did a 5-minute loop recording option, that means if something got messed up in that one particular video file clip, you'd lose 5 minutes. Whereas if you set it to 1 minute, every clip is 1 minute long. So 3 minutes I feel like is a good duration for that. So I like to utilize the 3-minute loop recording option. So that's about it. I haven't played with the app much, but hopefully this is helpful for you setting up the app and, of course, walking through installing this dash cam. So now let's take a look at some test footage. Right away, we're going to jump into the first shots. After I installed it, you can see this labeled here as the raw footage. That means it wasn't color corrected, and this is the 1080p settings. And here's the comparison to my old dash cam. Looks pretty similar in comparison. Again, my old dash cam was also only 1080p, but then of course you can upgrade or set up the Fitcamx to have the 4K resolution as well. So just quick comparisons. It is pretty similar, but I think honestly overall, if I had to give a winner in the footage clarity, I think I'd still like the raw footage of my old camera better than this Fitcamx. But I'm probably just picking nits here a little bit because for what you need, it's still going to serve the purpose of, documenting anything if an accident happens and stuff like that. But just again, showing you general comparison here between my old camera and the new one. And now this Fitcamx is in the 4K resolution. So again, the old one seems a little bit more clear, but what I like is that both of these are kind of on the side of being a bit darker footage, which is actually good when it comes to color correction. So now we're looking at some color corrected footage where I brighten this up, I adjusted the color a little bit, and when I did that, it really did make me kind of like the way the Fitcamx footage looked a little bit better this way, compared to the raw footage. But I know most people are just going to pull the raw clips and throw them out there, so that's why I'm using most of this test footage as just the raw footage when you take it right off the camera. So there you go. Overall, I figured it would have been a little bit better than the other camera when it was in the 4K setting, but oh well. So finally, let's do a quick breakdown of the good and the bad. Of course, the main good part of this Fitcamx dashcam is really the stealth OEM look and the plug and play. Those are pretty unique to this dashcam. So if you just want it to look like you don't have a dashcam at all, or you just don't like the idea of a dashcam sticking out and just being this extra thing on your windshield, this one certainly might be right for you. A plug and play design is nice. It's definitely in the good category of this. However, I will say just because it is a bit tricky to remove that cover to actually put the dash cam up in place, I wouldn't necessarily say then that this install is a lot easier than any other dash cam, because if you bought any other dash cam, it might be just as easy to install in some ways. It just won't look as clean because you got to run this wire and try to hide a wire and run it down to your fuse panel and stuff like that. And I also need to include the app as a good for this one because it's nice that you could just adjust the settings for the camcorder in the app. It's nice that you can pull footage using the app instead of always having to remove your SD card. So those are definitely some of the pluses with this Fitcamx. And the bad, I'm just going to say cost, really, because this cost about twice as much as what you could get kind of the same footage for from a different dash cam. But, you know, it depends on what you're prioritizing, of course. If you just want that stealth OEM look and you want that plug and play install, then this is going to be a good option for you. The other bad that you might not be thinking about when you buy this is really you have less control over where this is mounted. It's going to be mounted in one spot. You can't adjust the tilt of the view. But that's a very minor, I would say, in the bad category, because it's not like you can't see everything, of course, from where it is, but just something I wanted to point out. So there you have it. That's about it for this video, everybody. There is a link in the video description that I could earn commission on, because that's what people also do with these things. So, you know, there is a link. If you do want to buy this, you can go to the video description and utilize that link to purchase this dash cam. And if you do that, of course, it does help out my YouTube channel, so that's cool. But if you don't want to buy this, that's fine. No skin off my back. And as always, I really hope you guys found this video helpful. And if I did anything wrong, or if you have any other questions, of course, just please leave a comment in the comment section down below. As always, check the comment section to get a better feel for this product and a better feel for the install with other people that have potentially experienced installing this product or have used it themselves and have their own feedback. Please leave your comments and check the comments as well, so we can just get a nice, you know, communal thoughts on this product. But that's about it for this video, everybody. And as always, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks so much for watching. I just want to say that domestic violence is never okay. If you or someone you know is experiencing issues with a partner and doesn't feel safe, please visit the website thehotline.org or call 1-800-799-SAFE.